Bill Dorris is back to say he was wrong about Ivory Hecker.
And I don't understand why she thinks not being able to report that on their platform is her being muzzled or silenced or censored in any way.
Now, if you don't know Bill or Ivory, real fast. A couple days ago, Fox 26 Houston reporter Ivory Hecker goes a little off script, shall we say, in one of her live shots about a heat wave, and says she's busting her station on air. And then later they released these tapes that she'd recorded with her bosses. Essentially, it all goes back to hydroxychloroquine and COVID. And she said she was being muzzled. She wasn't allowed to post about this stuff and that she was being censored essentially by her bosses. And that's why she went to Project Veritas and they released it all. And now, it's just become a big deal. So, Bill, what did you originally say? What was your original opinion of all of this? And how have you changed your mind?
Well, Allison, I had two original opinions. The first one, I still stand by. I still say that this was her version of a sex tape. This was her a launching pad into something independent of corporate news. And I think the near $200,000 payday that she's going to see comes from it. And I want to reiterate, I'm not knocking this young lady. Where there's chaos, there's controversy, and controversy creates cash. So I'm not mad at her for that at all. Do your thing. What I was wrong about, and now that we have the full context and we've seen more and we've heard more, she was being muzzled. And the video that she has posted on her YouTube channel kind of proves it just about beyond all belief. Now, I still think it is kind of selectively edited, kind of a la Project Veritas's editing, but it's pretty damning because you can't edit the things that are being said. And I was just blown away, and I admit that maybe I still hold that what she puts on Fox 26's platform was subject to editorial decisions, but when you hear these conversations, it's quite clear she's being muzzled, she's being edited, she's being censored.
It's about the attention garnered by this kind of BS that the company does not want. We are here to tell you that your professional reputation is what we are trying to protect. And Susan has been abundantly clear that your post will be about news and will be about things that we determine are safe news for you to post right now.
What was the exact wording? Let me just scroll back. Abundantly clear, post will be about news and will be about things that we determine are safe news for you to post right now.
You're determined. It's what you determine safe as per what your GM, your CEOs, and owners. They said that. It's not. You can't lie about that.
What they're saying here is, first, social media companies have the right to remove content from their sites that they believe violates their policies. This is them saying what's wrong with her post. So that basically, first off, they're saying these media companies have the right to do that because she was complaining about that. We'll show you that in a second. All right. Second, you only gave one side of the story as you reported on Dr. Emanuel's claims that hydroxychloroquine without bringing any contextual reference to efficacy and safety concerns with the drug. As a journalist, you didn't dig deeper into the current known facts concerning hydroxychloroquine. Third, you used the video on your platforms without permission. Okay, so I guess her video, I'm not quite sure that she shot with them or something, and so they're claiming copyright on that, which is dumb because they want you to post your stuff all the time. So,
exactly. Okay, let's one quick thing. What they were doing here, Allison, and I know this because I've done it myself as administration, as manager and things like that. They're creating a paper trail in an effort to get ready to get rid of her. That's all this was, because it's not a write-up. It's not something that she had to approve or sign off on. They're starting to create a paper trail. So when they fire her, they've got all this stuff saying, well, we've warned you and we've warned you and we've warned you.
And they talk about how it became fodder for FTV Live. So we're going to tell people about this. As I reminded you on August 14th, you disregarded our instructions to not engage on social media on these topics. These negative articles on FTV Live and the adverse publicity and notoriety from your post raise questions about your credibility and reflect badly on our news organization and the station. After we told you that we could not assign you to report on stories about hydroxychloroquine, you disregarded our instructions by posting again. So for people who don't know, this is FTV Live. Oh, I got to go back and unshare and reshare. So let me do this. Okay. So FTV Live is like what? The TMZ of the news business. And nobody outside TV news cares about FTV Live, but everybody in the TV news business, or a lot of people in the TV news business, read FTV Live like it is the TMZ of the business. Okay. So that's what she's referencing. She ends up apparently, this is from June 17, 2021. So this is Scott Jones, who runs the site. He's talking about the recent stuff, but apparently she made it on FTV Live because of her post about hydroxychloroquine. Now, let me show you one of those posts so to just kind of get a frame of reference here on this one. And, she's essentially talking about her story that she did do about Stellamanuel. So you see Dr. Stellamanuel here, frontline doctors, and that whole press conference was, basically taken off of Twitter. And she writes here, a free press equals a free people. And then essentially goes, Facebook and Twitter went on censoring rampage in the last day. It's important to take a stand against censorship. Freedom of information is critical to the freedom of the people, as history has told time and time again. As a journalist, I take a proud stand against censorship. Let's shed light on all information and let the public decide rather than hiding information. Is this woman making false or harmful claims? Then leave the video up and allow us to expose those things. I did some digging today and went to this doctor's medical center. I spoke with her patients. I'll post my report when it's available. Fortunately, there are other social media platforms we are free to choose, one that allows us to communicate freely if we don't like Facebook and Twitter are doing. What alternative social media sites do you like? So ending it with a question to engage the audience. But anyway, So she's basically standing up, against censorship, which I totally agree with her. And I will say, if I had not quit TV news before COVID, it's highly likely I would have quit during COVID, because I would have had a really hard time. TV news and just news in general, went bonkers under Trump, but then went like double bonkers under COVID. And so, yeah, it's crazy that as a journalist, it's controversial to stand up against censorship by big tech companies. But I did see my old peers cheering on even Trump getting kicked off Twitter. I have a buddy who works for the networks as a reporter, and he was like, yeah, now we got to get those other sites that your grandma, the grandma accounts that your grandma retweets, the little guy with 50 followers, let's get them off too, off Twitter. And it's like, come on, dude, what are you doing? And so it's been sad to see journalists that have been cheering that on. And I probably would have gotten fed up with it too and posted something like that. And I don't know what my bosses would have said. So, that's only one post that I could find. I don't know. Was there something else out there that was like super controversial? That to me is not something worth, writing up some defamation, letter in her file over.
I don't even know what to make of that. It's very... Okay, first and foremost, can we just set one thing straight? If Fauci or Biden or one of the left-leaning Democrat liberal people, if they would have been the first ones to mention something about hydroxychloroquine, whatever the hell it is, whatever, if one of them would have mentioned it first, everybody would be like, inject it into my veins. So let's be honest about that up front. Whoever would have said it first, that's who the tribes would have went with. And it just happens that the mainstream media is in the tribe that Trump isn't. So that's first and foremost. But as far as this letter, this was, like I said, this was their attempt at, starting the paper trail. And I don't know if you're going to play it or not, but if you go back and you watch the video, when Ivory Hecker gets her attorney involved, things change a little bit. The mood starts to change, and it's really interesting.
Okay, so we'll play that right now. And let me just share my screen here, make sure that we got the audio up, and let's roll it.
Some, differences here and how we kind of hurt each other. Basically withdrawing the letter of warning, all right? Because our goal was never to have you interpret that as an exercise in wanting you to be terminated. We want you to be part of our team.
But the letter of warning has been destroyed. It has been shredded. We no longer have it in your file.
Ivory, the waters of social media are complicated. They get more and more complicated all the time.
The waters of Fox, you mean? The waters of Fox are complicated.
The waters of social media get complicated. And we want to work with you. We want this to, we realize that you don't agree with maybe my opinion here, but it's how I see it.
You guys are continuing to push this idea that I'm somehow biased about some drug that I'm not interested in taking, that I'm not interested in telling people to take. But I am interested in answering people's questions about it, because the public wants to know what the heck is going on with this drug, especially when it's being censored so harshly. What's the actual deal? Let's dig deeper, because it is such a hot topic right now.
Okay, well, so I guess they lose the right to later come back and say she was like a problem employee or something, because they literally just say in this that they really wanted her to stay, and I don't think that was meant to make you feel unwelcome here.
That's all of a sudden her attorney gets involved and their energy comes way down and her energy goes way up. Notice how she turned into a gangster real quick. And, props to her. Anytime you can slap it to people who have been trying to keep you down, I'm all for it. I love it. But that is basically it. They're all of a sudden saying, oh, no, we really don't have a problem with you. And we want you to be a part of the team. When she got to punch back, the bully tried to bully her into a corner and she punched her way out of the corner, and the bullies didn't like that. So now they're like, oh, I'm sorry.
This is the last part we were going to talk about, right? Where she's talking about, but we needed proof or something, right?
Yes. Yeah. This is the part where, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
This is the part where I was really like, whoa, and she saved it for the end. This is how good of a journalist she is. She saved the best part for the end. She should actually go into producing TV dramas and sitcoms.
Well, this looks like Project Veritas editing. So I don't know. Maybe they put it together. Maybe she did. I have no idea, but it looks very similar to their graphics from before. So
I have no doubt that they edited it for her, or maybe even one of their editors taught her how to edit in their style. But either way, the end here, it's not really kind of a cliffhanger, but it's also kind of a
But see, this is another point that you're going to now have to eat crow on, Bill, because you also made fun of Project Veritas's editing capacity in the last video. And
hold on. Until we find out who edited this part, I ain't eating nothing.
Okay. Here we go.
Why we may not be pursuing the story, why we may be saying we need more research, why we may be saying we need somebody to go on camera because we need the proof.
Okay, I'm just saying, I've had people on camera and I've gotten in trouble for that. Stunning.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what's better. The assistant, was that the assistant news director or the news director?
I think that was the assistant.
Okay. Her reaction, or the fact that we didn't get to hear her response, because she was going to try to say something kind of smart ass back to her, but she was just like, I wanted to hear her reaction or what she was going to reply back. But that was,
who knows? But it's interesting that she, during all of this, that she was recording it. I don't know if she was already working with Project Veritas or not, or she was just doing this in the event. It's interesting because she also released a tape of her conversation with HR when they're like, we're going to come pick up your equipment, and she's like, why? Because I guess she's playing off like she doesn't know she's fired, because I guess they told her agent and she hadn't talked to her agent yet. I mean, of course, she's assuming this is what's going on, or she got his text or something. But basically, she's like pushing them to say, you're fired. And the HR lady's like, sorry, I'm going to have to go because I'm not authorized to talk to you about anything.
You're HR. You're HR.
Eric Hundley, my buddy who I live stream with for News with Booze, he's like, why do they keep calling her? It's like they know she's recording the phone calls, just send her a letter that's like legally approved and stop calling her. You guys keep giving her more material to put on YouTube.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. I mean, I'm not going to ever say I'm going to release a tape or anything like that, but I still have a record of conversations and recordings from back in my day going all the way back to 2010. So, and I keep them on this little hard drive that I always keep off to the side just in case. Now, I'm not saying I'm blackmailing anybody. It's for my protection, not yours. It's kind of like that locked door at the front of my house. Okay. That's to protect you, not me. So, but yeah, that I don't understand why they would continue to give her the ammunition that she needed. And, if they keep doing it, it's on them, not her.
Well, I'm sure this is not going to be the last that we hear. Anything else you'd like to add, Bill, since I am titling this I Was Wrong About Ivory Hecker?
I still stand by what I said. I think she used it as a launching pad, not knocking her for that. That's awesome. Great for you. And anybody who is currently a journalist, because I've seen this a lot on the Reddit and the Facebook posts and the forums and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of people, she sold herself out. I would never do that, ruin my career. Get out of here with that noise. You done missed me, because 4 years ago when I got out of the business, 3 years ago, whatever it has been now, if you would have told me, hey, if you raise a stink and release recorded conversations and we'll give you $200,000, you would have done it too. I mean, I'm not saying necessarily you, Allison, but 98% of the people who have said, I'd never ruin my career like that. Yes, you would have. You would have took it and run. Stop lying.
I think there is a really important conversation here for journalists to be having about exactly the question I asked you at the beginning, which is, where is the line between a normal, healthy editorial process, which has to happen because we can't cover every single thing that happens every day.
Right.
So constantly we're making choices about what's on the news. And where is the line between that and suppression of information because of political or any other number of reasons? It's just not a safe topic, as she was saying. And I think that line is a really important one to discuss here, regardless of what you think about Ivory's decision to quit or get fired, I guess. I don't know. It seems like suicide by live shot, if you know what I mean, because she knew exactly what she was doing. I think what's really more important than anything here is to just talk about the information itself, the editorial process, because that's what is at the heart of this. At the heart of this is how newsrooms are making editorial decisions, and are those decisions getting more and more overshadowed by a real sickness and dysfunctional way of looking at journalism. And that's something we should all really be talking about, because most, if not all, journalists in mainstream newsrooms complain about the way that decisions are made in their newsrooms, being able to pursue stories that they want to, having the time to do it, all that stuff. And there are valid concerns there. So she's bringing up something that I think is really important to discuss. And I think it would be unfortunate to allow that to be overshadowed by, somebody's dislike for the tactic itself.
No, I 100% agree with you. The problem is, and I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, Allison. The problem is, this is an important conversation to have, but just like in politics, nothing's going to get done about it. And the reason I say that is because the only editorial process that matters now is what makes the money. Okay. And if these multi-billion dollar corporations continue to own and choose what is the news, then this is a mute conversation, because it's going to be what they want. As these news directors and administrators just prove to you, the viewers matter, but we got to please the people that sign the paychecks and can hire and fire us. And until that changes, the conversation about what is an editorial process and what's not, it's kind of moot.
Especially as it becomes more and more tied to, as we saw in this particular video, to social media, and how I don't know, I guess I could be wrong, but it seems to me that because you can get fried by the mob on social media now, a lot of news companies are paying attention to, and they said it in that tape about their reputation. And she even said that when Ivory said, that's just a gossip site that's talking about my posts on hydroxychloroquine. They're, well, we're very concerned about the gossip sites. I mean, she basically said that. Like, you know, we are paying attention to that. And so, you know, that's sad to me to hear news managers say we're you know, more focused on the fact that one of our employees could look bad for standing up for what I think is a valid issue to stand up for, and that is the censorship of social media companies, or if you want to call it speech suppression, because it's not, I don't know if some people say it's not, you know, legally censorship. But to hear a news manager say that, I think is disappointing. And I do think that there's a, you know, a publicity side of being a journalist nowadays that maybe didn't exist or wasn't as amplified before you had these platforms. That's one of my angles too, that I think that's made a difference.
Well, and the problem with that, Allison, is not only did they say, hey, we're worried about what's on this gossip site, they put it in black and white in that letter that they had to destroy or remove from her file. They had to, they put it in black and white that we care more about this gossip site and who's signing our checks as opposed to the viewers. They put it in black and white. It's atrocious. And I liken it to this. We've said it before, broadcast news is dying, okay? It's got a foot in the grave. It's right behind radio and newspaper. Now, when I say this, I hope a lot of your viewers will get this analogy. Boxing was the dominant combat sport for the longest time, and then MMA come along. Now, nobody wants to be a boxer anymore. They all want to be MMA fighters. Now we've entered this realm where news is kind of the same way. Nobody wants to be in TV journalism anymore. Everybody wants to do their own thing on whatever digital platform that they choose to do it on, because I don't have to answer to anybody and I can make the same kind of living. God knows, you know, I was making $18,000, $20,000 a year. I can do that with a decent YouTube channel. So, and do it in my living room. So why would I go to broadcast journalism? And I don't have to pay for a 4-year degree that I'm not going to be using.
Right. Well, there are still young people that are going into mainstream news. I don't know why.
They've been, that's a conversation for another time. I've touched on a few of those a few of those reasons on a previous video of yours, but that's definitely another door we could open later.
Yeah. All right, Bill Dorris, always a pleasure. And everybody leave him a comment in the comment section about what you think about his apology, which wasn't really an apology, but.
Hey, I admitted I was wrong. Ask my wife. That's a win.
Okay. And that will end the broadcast.